Russian Fairy Tales. A choice collection of Muscovite folklore. By W.R.S. RALSTON, M.A., Tales 5 and 6. Tale 5. The Cross-Shurity. Once upon a time 2 merchants lived in a certain town just on the verge of a stream. One of them was a Russian, the other a Tartar. Both were rich. But the Russian got so utterly ruined by some business or other that he hadn't a single bit of property left. Everything he had was confiscated or stolen. The Russian merchant had nothing to turn to, he was left as poor as a rat. So he went to his friend the Tartar, and besought him to lend him some money. "Get me a surety," says the Tartar. "But whom can I get for you, seeing that I haven't a soul belonging to me?" "Stay, though. There's a surety for you, the life-giving cross on the church." "Very good, my friend," says the Tartar. "I'll trust your cross. Your faith or ours, it's all one to me." And he gave the Russian merchant 50,000 rubles. The Russian took the money, bade the Tartar farewell, and went back to trade in divers places. By the end of 2 years he had gained 150,000 rubles by the 50,000 he had borrowed. Now he happened to be sailing one day along the Danube, going with wares from one place to another, when all of a sudden a storm arose, and was on the point of sinking the ship he was in. Then the merchant remembered how he had borrowed money and given the life-giving cross as a surety, but had not paid his debt. That was doubtless the cause of the storm arising. No sooner had he said this to himself than the storm began to subside. The merchant took a barrel, counted out 50,000 rubles, wrote the Tartar a note, placed it, together with the money, in the barrel, and then flung the barrel into the water, saying to himself, "As I gave the cross as my surety to the Tartar, the money will be certain to reach him." The barrel straightway sank to the bottom. Everyone supposed the money was lost. But what happened? In the Tartar's house there lived a Russian kitchen maid. One day she happened to go to the river for water, and when she got there she saw a barrel floating along. So she went a little way into the water and began trying to get hold of it. But it wasn't to be done. When she made at the barrel, it retreated from her. When she turned from the barrel to the shore, it floated after her. She went on trying and trying for some time. Then she went home and told her master all that had happened. At first he wouldn't believe her, but at last he determined to go to the river and see for himself what sort of barrel it was that was floating there. When he got there, sure enough there was the barrel floating, and not far from the shore. The Tartar took off his clothes and went into the water. Before he had gone any distance the barrel came floating up to him of its own accord. He laid hold of it, carried it home, opened it, and looked inside. There he saw a quantity of money, and on top of the money a note. He took out the note and read it, and this is what was said in it: "Dear friend, I return to you the 50,000 rubles for which, when I borrowed them from you, I gave the life-giving cross as a surety." The Tartar read these words and was astounded at the power of the life-giving cross. He counted the money over to see whether the full sum was really there. It was there exactly. Meanwhile, the Russian merchant, after trading some 5 years, made a tolerable fortune. Well, he returned to his old home, and, thinking that his barrel had been lost, he considered it his first duty to settle with the Tartar. So he went to his house and offered him the money he had borrowed. Then the Tartar told him all that had happened and how he had found the barrel in the river, with the money and the note inside it. Then he showed him the note, saying, "Is that really your hand?" "It certainly is," replied the other. Everyone was astounded at this wondrous manifestation, and the Tartar said, "Then I've no more money to receive from you, brother, take that back again." The Russian merchant had a service performed as a thank-offering to God, and next day the Tartar was baptized with all his household. The Russian merchant was his godfather, and the kitchen maid his godmother. After that they both lived long and happily, survived to a great age. and then died peacefully. Tale 6. The Awful Drunkard. Once there was an old man who was such an awful drunkard as passes all description. Well, one day he went to a cabak, intoxicated himself with liquor, and then went staggering home blind drunk. Now his way happened to lie across a river. When he came to the river, he didn't stop long to consider, but kicked off his boots, hung them round his neck, and walked into the water. Scarcely had he got halfway across when he tripped over a stone, tumbled into the water, and there was an end of him. Now, he left a son called Petrusha. When Peter saw that his father had disappeared and left no trace behind, he took the matter greatly to heart for a time. He wept for a while, he had a service performed for the repose of his father's soul, and he began to act as head of the family. One Sunday he went to church to pray to God. As he passed along the road, a woman was pounding away in front of him. She walked and walked, stumbled over a stone, and began swearing at it, saying, "What devil shoved you under my feet?" Hearing these words, Petrusha said, "Good day, aunt. Whither away?" "To church, my dear, to pray to God." "But isn't this sinful conduct of yours? You're going to church, to pray to God, and yet you think about the evil one, your foot stumbles and you throw the fault on the devil." Well, he went to church and then returned home. He walked, and suddenly, goodness knows whence, there appeared before him a fine-looking man, who saluted him and said, "Thanks, Petrusha, for your good word." "Who are you, and why do you thank me?" asks Petrusha. "I am the devil. I thank you because when that woman stumbled, and scolded me without a cause, you said a good word for me." Then he began to entreat him, saying, "Come and pay me a visit, Petrusha. How I will reward you, to be sure! With silver and with gold, with everything will I endow you." "Very good," says Petrusha, "I'll come." Having told him all about the road he was to take, the devil straightway disappeared, and Petrusha returned home. Next day Petrusha set off on his visit to the devil. He walked and walked, for 3 whole days did he walk, and then he reached a great forest, dark and dense, impossible even to see the sky from within it. And in that forest there stood a rich palace. Well, he entered the palace, and a fair maiden caught sight of him. She had been stolen from a certain village by the evil spirit. And when she caught sight of him she cried, "Whatever have you come here for, good youth? Here devils abide, they will tear you to pieces." Petrusha told her how and why he had made his appearance in that palace. "Well, now mind this," says the fair maiden, "the devil will begin giving you silver and gold. Don't take any of it, but ask him to give you the very wretched horse which the evil spirits use for fetching wood and water. That horse is your father." When he came out of the cabak drunk, and fell into the water, the devils immediately seized him and made him their hack, and now they use him for fetching wood and water. Presently there appeared the gallant who had invited Petrusha, and began to regale him with all kinds of meat and drink. And when the time came for Petrusha to be going homewards, "Come," said the devil, "I will provide you with money and with a capital horse, so that you will speedily get home." "I don't want anything," replied Petrusha. "Only if you wish to make me a present, give me that sorry jade which you use for carrying wood and water." "What good will that be to you? If you ride it home quickly, I expect it will die." "No matter, let me have it. I won't take any other." So the devil gave him that sorry jade. Petrusha took it by the bridle and led it away. As soon as he reached the gates there appeared the fair maiden, and asked, "Have you got the horse?" "I have." "Well then, good youth, when you get nigh to your village, take off your cross, trace a circle 3 times about this horse, and hang the cross round its neck." Petrusha took leave of her and went his way. When he came nigh to his village he did everything exactly as the maiden had instructed him. He took off his copper cross, traced a circle 3 times about the horse, and hung the cross round its neck. And immediately the horse was no longer there, but in its place there stood before Petrusha his own father. The son looked upon the father, burst into tears, and led him to his cottage, and for 3 days the old man remained without speaking, unable to make use of his tongue. And after that they lived happily and in all prosperity. The old man entirely gave up drinking, and to his very last day never took so much as a single drop of spirits. Thus ends Tales 5 and 6 of the Russian fairy tale series. Next is Tales 7 and 8, The Bad Wife and the Golovika. Feel free to check out the plethora of selections at the Weird Audiobooks YouTube library. And if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to receive notifications when a new audiobook is added.